Welcome back. This afternoon, you're listening to the Todd Laborowitz Show, Real Estate Radio on Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. I am your host, Todd Laborowitz, and we are speaking with Jodi Anderson from Alegi Anderson, Attorneys at Law. Alegi Anderson is your personal law firm for your family and business matters. They provide representation to their clients in a wide range of practices: real estate litigation, alternative dispute resolution, and one of my favorites, wills, trust, and estate planning. Jodi Anderson is a litigation attorney with experience in both state and federal courts. Maryland super lawyers recognized her as a rising star, an honor given to less than 2.5% of all the attorneys in Maryland. Welcome, Jodi.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Well, I want to get right into, there's a lot to talk about this. I'm so glad to have you here because I got questions.
Yeah. Well, I like talking about it. The more people that talk about it, the easier everybody's day is.
Perfect. So let's get down to all this information. Now, estate planning. When I think of that, I feel like I need to have $1 million, $2 million in the bank or a life insurance policy, and then I need to have this extravagant estate planning done, and it costs between $4,000 to $5,000 to have it done, and any change you want, it's like $1,000, and it's like, oh my God, what do I do?
Yeah. Well, the way I like to explain it is to think that you would need a big pile of money to first have an estate plan is like thinking that your life is only about a pile of money. There's a lot of things to your life. There's your family. There's the events that you have. There's the pets that you have. The other people in your life, maybe stepchilds or friends. And that really still goes into estate planning. It is not just about money. Of course, that's something to look at, but it is as big as your life is.
Okay. Well, with estate planning is also wills.
Yes.
And I see wills at Staples.
Yes.
I see the stuff with the commercials on wills.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see these extravagant wills.
Yes.
But it's important to have a will because when you have a child, it's there's a process.
Yes, there is. In the will, you can name the guardian of your child. Now, it will go to the natural parent. If there is another natural parent living, of course, they'll be the first choice. But especially if you have kids, something that a will achieves is letting the courts know who you would like to be entrusted with your children. Now, if you do, unfortunately, pass away without a will, then the floodgates open, right? Your crazy relatives can come in and say...
What happens? Explain a situation that, I remember talking to you over lunch, and you scared the daylights out of me.
Well, it's not scary when it's done right. But it has to be done right because what you're talking about is if somebody passes away or something happens, they're incapacitated, you're in a bad situation already. And the last thing you want is the uncertainty that comes with not having any plans discussed and nothing in writing. If someone were to pass away without a will, it gets probated through the court.
Where does the child go?
Well, that depends. The court doesn't come in and take the child necessarily, anything like that. The child would be entrusted. Hopefully there's another parent around. At the time, normally what happens is the family will step in, but they are not necessarily the guardians yet. The court will have to get involved. There are petitions. And if other people want to be the guardian, they can step in. You know, maybe it's your sister you haven't seen in 20 years, and now they want to be the guardian. Well, the court does not know your wishes. They don't know why you do or do not want your sister to be the guardian. And they're left without direction, which is what you want to avoid, which is one of the many advantages to having a will.
Okay. And that will is for everybody, anyone that has children.
Absolutely. Even people that do not have children, because the will accomplishes, just like it accomplishes more than just money, it accomplishes more than telling the court your desires with a child. There are many things that you can do with a will. It can minimize any expenses, any court involvement. You can leave things to organizations or causes that you care about, that absent that, the court won't do anything of that nature.
Okay. And just like peanut butter and jelly go together.
Yeah.
Wills and these power of attorneys
Correct.
For finances and also for health are just as important.
Yes.
And they go hand in hand. Can you explain the financial power of attorney, the health power of attorney? Does it the same person? Is it different people? Do you have backups?
Sure. Well, there's a lot to it. You're right that a estate plan should not only just have a will, but a financial power of attorney and a healthcare power of attorney. And that's because where the will step in and give guidance when you have passed away, there are times when people are incapacitated for numerous reasons, and we still need guidance, despite the fact that they are still with us. A financial power of attorney allows someone to come in and deal with your finances if for some reason you can't make any financial decisions on your behalf. Heaven forbid you are in a bad car accident. The last thing that you want to do is be in a coma and wake up and your house is gone because no one's had the ability to make your payments, though you have the money in the bank. And the financial power of attorney will prevent something like that. A healthcare power of attorney allows, and they can be two different people, and they might be because it's two different skill sets of somebody. The healthcare power of attorney will allow someone to make medical decisions on your behalf if you aren't able to do that.
Okay, and I do have more questions about that. But by the way, if you're just tuning in, I have with me Jodi Anderson with Alegi Anderson, attorneys at law. I am your host, Todd Laborowit, and you are listening to Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. Now, the health power of attorney.
Yes.
You said, I remember you telling me there was a study that was done in Wisconsin. Can you let our listeners know more about that?
Yeah, it's a wonderful study. What happened was there is a city in Wisconsin that has the lowest cost of health care at end of life for anywhere in the United States. And so people went in and did a study to try to find out why that was. And the reason actually was that 96% of the citizens of that city had health care power of attorneys. They had that power of attorney because they have somebody who's involved with the hospital system who had been asking people what their desires are. And that's very important because it's very hard for, as a child or a sister, to be the one who makes a life decision that would end a life. But very often that might be what someone wants. They don't want drastic measures taken. But if you don't feel released to not make that decision, to let that person go, then you're not going to make it. When people make their health care power of decision, their healthcare power of attorney, then that power of attorney can make the decisions about their health, and they are released to fulfill the wishes of that person. And so in this city, when people had been talking about what they wanted, people knew what they wanted. And when it came to their end of life, people knew how to care for them and did that, and the health care costs were drastically decreased and are untouchable anywhere else in America.
But what about the psychology behind that? Like, if I had to take care of my mother and there was nothing out there and I was a decision maker and I had to make these decisions,
right,
whether they're right or wrong, I have to live with that forever.
Absolutely.
That's a huge burden to put on your family and loved ones.
It is. And just from personal experience, I saw that with my grandfather, when my grandmother, when they came to her and asked for decisions, and she couldn't make it. She absolutely just could not make the decision. It then fell on my mother, who stepped up for the family, but it destroyed her too. And that all could have been avoided if they just felt released to know the wishes of my grandfather, because a decision does have to be made. So these discussions do need to happen because, so far the mortality rate is 100%, in our world. So these are discussions that should be happening.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for bringing all that up. Now, there's also a special needs trust.
Yes.
I don't even know how to ask because I don't even know what.
Sure. Well, there's several kinds of trusts. And what a trust does is set something up for beneficiaries to then be able to take under the trust, to basically get benefits under the trust. A special needs trust is a type of trust used mostly for people who need to benefit from the trust but are currently receiving public benefits, such as Medicaid as an example. Okay, there's limits on what needs to be in place for you to receive Medicaid. What you do not want to do is honestly screw up those benefits for someone that you love by leaving them money or things. So you set up a special needs trust so that they can be supported. A special needs trust is mostly used for, like I said, someone with Medicaid or someone with disability, so they will not be able to support themselves. And you can set up a trust so that they can be supported after you are gone, and they will still be able to receive their public benefits.
Okay. Well, where does someone get started with all this? Like, I know, let's start. I have a better question.
Sure.
If I die today,
yes,
and I don't have a will,
yes,
what happens?
Well, that's when you go to the court and it's probated.
Who? My family?
Well, that's a good question.
What if no one shows up?
Right. So someone would even need to, after you passed away, say, what do we do? And hopefully someone in their sphere of influence would say, you need to probate this. It creates immediately some chaos that you're right. I'm not used to, because we try to prevent it all the time, of who goes to the court. And that's something to be avoided with wills.
Okay. Well, for our listeners, is there anything you have that you can offer to them?
Yeah, absolutely. What we offer at Alegi Anderson is a document where we will provide you to list all of the places that your property is and who you wish to entrust that to.
Okay, great. Well, what I want to offer you to our listeners is the opportunity to take up Jodi Anderson's claim with that document. Call or text me at 301-467-8444. That number again is 301-467-8444. And just text the word Jodi. And also, my one other question is, where does one... Well, we have questions right now. Well... When we get back, we're going to talk to Jim Musgrave with Wordle & Wealth with Research Financial Strategies, and also Lisa Abrams with Abrams Group at RE/MAX, and Jeffrey Greenblatt, attorney at law, talking about real estate and divorce. We'll be right back after these
messages. You have spent your life providing for and protecting your family. Trust your legacy to the attorneys at Alegi Anderson. At Alegi Anderson, we know how important it is for every person to have an estate plan, and so we've made our estate plan packages affordable to every person. The comprehensive plans at Alegi Anderson include healthcare powers of attorney and financial powers of attorney. Give your family peace of mind in an uncertain world. Visit AlegiAnderson.com, that's ALEGI Anderson.com, and set up a free estate planning consultation.